Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Occult Perspectives. I think I finally found a spot out here that I can kind of rest, sit down at. There's some railroad tracks up there, as you can see, and there's a path that's up there. So I won't be able to see if somebody's coming down the path, but there is this nice little seat right here that this tree is kind of naturally formed. That's kind of cool, so I'm just going to sit down in this seat. Hopefully nobody comes through, and if they do, I can always move. Oh, I'll probably hear them coming long before they get here. Let's see if this seat's actually comfortable. All right, there we go. Need to set the camera somewhere. That is going to be a tricky thing. Let's see here. Alrighty, that's good enough. Okay. Break a couple of these branches. There you go. Move them out of the way. Okay, so as I said in the video earlier, I was going to try to get out into the woods, and here we are. So, see if I can tilt this back just a little bit more. Get the angle right. It's kind of tricky here. Okay, maybe. Okay, there we go. Okay, so Archangels Part 3. The next Archangel that we have on the list is Metatron. But before we get to Metatron, I wanted to go back to the first four Archangels: Raphael, Gabriel, Michael, and Uriel. Another visualization you can add along with that, other than the tetramorph, the four animals of Ezekiel's vision, is also you can symbolize the zodiac sign, which is Taurus for Uriel, and I usually see it as green. Scorpio for Gabriel, you see it as blue, a blue symbol. Leo for Michael, and the Aquarius symbol with Raphael in the east. So you can visualize each of those zodiac correspondences as well with each of these angels. I tried to figure out correspondences for Sandalphon and Metatron. I was thinking about it, and I thought maybe Metatron might be Libra, the scales, and then Sandalphon might be like Capricorn, or possibly even Virgo. I'm not sure. I don't think there's really any zodiac correspondence with those two angels. Sandalphon just represents the material plane, or Malkut, and Metatron is Kether. But anyway, let's proceed forward, and we're going to talk about Metatron. Metatron is the only archangel in all the stories of angels to have ever been human. He is sometimes said to have been the prophet Enoch, who penned the Gnostic gospel known as the Book of Enoch. So it talks about Enoch was taken up into the heavens and he walked with God. He was basically, after his mission on earth, the transference of this sacred knowledge, he was transformed into an archangel, the archangel Metatron, which is super interesting, the idea of this mortal, becoming an archangel. And as we said before, his will must have been so much in line with the divine that, the definition, we were looking at the definition of angels versus archangels. And let's see here. Where was the difference between the two? Archangels are stars just a couple of steps down from gods. They exist on the level of creation immediately above ours, which makes them relatively easy to contact. Angels are more like powerful energies or elementals. Angels are almost pure energy, whereas archangels are the powerful, intelligent forces that direct the energy. We were talking about the definitions of angels versus archangels in Archangels Part 1. If you have not gone back and watched Part 1 and 2, I highly recommend that you do. We're getting some nice sunshine coming in through here. Yeah, this seems to be a pretty peaceful spot. I had to walk down pretty far down the railroad track trail, but this seems to be one of the better spots. It's pretty muddy, so I can't really find too much of a great area, but this is working. In certain traditions, it is said that the divine source of creation rewarded Enoch for his faith by never having to die a physical death. This is very akin to, we see in Star Wars, Ben Kenobi, he decides to like transform into the Force. And these yogis who become one with the light, they ascend or whatever. It's kind of the same idea here, but from the Christian perspective. Instead, Enoch was transformed into the Archangel, who is closest to the very throne of heaven. Whether this is true or not, Metatron is the name magicians have used to call upon the intelligence who directs the flow of the purest, most formless energy down into the denser levels of reality. So Metatron's all about the Kether energy, that source energy, the top Sephiroth of the tree of life, that energy flowing down into the material realm. It affects all the spheres below it. And as Frater Xavier says, the higher laws trump the lower laws. Let's see. He is associated with no element and no direction. Since he exists, that probably answers our zodiac question. Since he exists within the mind of divinity itself. So if we were referring to Dante in the Empyrean heaven, where you've got the rings, you've got like the archangels, and then I think the seraphim are like one of the ones that are closest to God, and then Metatron would be somewhere close, to the original, which ends up being the source of everything. It's the innermost light, but it's the brightest light, but it seems like it's the furthest away, or something like that. I'd have to go back and reread it. Paradiso is so advanced, and its esoteric lore, the way that it really breaks down the higher realms of existence, the Empyrean heaven, the Ein, the Ein Sof all those ideas and concepts, and the 9 rings or orders of angels, or the 9 orders as they call it. It's all super interesting. Getting slightly off track here. This phone looks like it's probably been crooked this whole time though. Try and make it a little straighter. As the kingdom of God is actually both within and all around us, there is no place where it is not. Hence, Metatron is everywhere. However, since we generally equate the heavenly realms with an upward direction, I have always attributed that direction to him in my enhanced version of the LBRP. Most people who employ this modification generally feel that Metatron just feels right when visualized above. This is true, I would have to say. In the LBRP, you traditionally evoke, the 4 archangels of the elements. As we said before, Raphael, Gabriel, Michael, and Uriel. And then once you become comfortable with those 4, you do Metatron above, and you do Sandalphon below. If you want to enhance just one element, for instance, if you need help with emotional troubles, as I've said before, you can evoke Archangel Gabriel in all directions. If you want to, I guess really work with the Kether energy or align yourself to Source, where the crown, Kether, the crown, Sephiroth, as much as possible, that all trinities, united into one sphere. If you wanted to basically get a unified feeling, you could evoke Archangel Metatron in all directions. If you need fire, if you need protection, even for like sexual energy and stuff, you could evoke Archangel Michael in all directions. So you can vary these practices up, and Damien says that's really important. You add your own variables, you add your own flavors and spins on these things. It's whatever works for you and whatever manifests a good outcome. You'll be able to feel the differences in the energies and such. And yeah, Metatron visualized above is very powerful. Since Metatron directs the flow of divine energy that we're ultimately striving toward in the form of enlightenment, he is the perfect intelligence to connect with and absorb the energy of. We become more like him with each invocation because it raises our own energetic vibration to a matching frequency with source, as we were saying. This effect only lasts a short while, so if this appeals to you, repeat the process often. You know, ultimate source, enlightenment, as we were just saying, he's the perfect intelligence to connect with and absorb the energy of that. We become more like him the more we invoke him. And it would be, see, there's Damien, he's saying invocation again. Donald Michael Craig is the one who makes a clear distinction between evocation with an E and invocation, that those are two very different things, but he seems to be kind of using it synonymously in this case. Keys to visualizing Metatron. You know, I usually see him as very crystal-like. I imagine like the brightest white crystallic structure, you know, I can, the throne and everything when I'm visualizing it, just the purest white light. Keys to visualizing Metatron: blinding white crystalline robes, stands or sits on a throne made of light. And some reasons to invoke Metatron, which we were just talking about: to raise the vibrational frequency of a given area, a room, house, or a neighborhood, etc. To initiate the process of crossing the abyss, and to complete the great work, that is, to escape the wheel of samsara, aimless wandering, the wheel of karma, which Damien has talked a lot about in his newest video, especially the video Alchemy. I highly recommend that one. He's actually taking you through the original high magic, ancient Sumerian high magic tradition and the rituals that are necessary to complete and break this wheel of karma. I started taking notes on that myself because it's going to become very useful in my own research. I probably won't get into that in too much detail on this channel just because Damien's already talked about it. He's more of an expert on it, but for my own personal research and for some of the stuff that I'm working on in my book, it might come really in handy. But we'll talk about some of that stuff on here later on as we move forward. So I think that pretty much covers the Archangel Metatron. There was something else I wanted to say here real quick. Oh yeah, he said to raise the vibrational frequency of a given area, a room, house, and neighborhood. I've noticed that if you're really given the space, like if you had a wide open field and you knew there was nobody around anywhere, you know, you could send these energies forth so powerfully to the ends of the universe. It helps you with the visualization of that. You can still accomplish the same thing when you're inside in a room, but when you're outside and you can really yell to the, you use your voice with no restraint. You know, you don't have to worry about uninitiated persons like entering the space or whatever, or people who just don't understand, and totally be free to relax and be in the moment as you're doing these rituals could add so much power to them. And you see how much more the energy is being, cast out. It's being spread across the universe and everything. So it becomes very powerful. I don't know that we'll get to the Archangels of the Tree of Life in this video. We're already like 14 minutes in, just about. I do have to get back to the house, so we may start on the Archangels of the Tree of Life next time. But this is still the Archangels of the Elements, which you can use for the lesser invoking ritual, the pentagram, and the lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram, both. You can use all 6 of these angels. Okay, so moving on to Sandalphon. Sandalphon is the archangel who regulates energy flow from divinity to the physical realm. So working with Metatron, as we said before. And when you do the middle pillar ritual and you're doing the circulation of light, it's the energies of Sandalphon and below and Metatron above really working together. I feel like it's, you're this. It's this conduit of energy flowing through you. You're like this battery, this organic battery that's being brought to life, as these light energies work and flow through you. It's very powerful. Nothing passes from heaven to earth without being noticed by Sandalphon. So Sandalphon notices everything on the material and the spiritual planes. It's also said that Sandalphon is responsible for gathering prayers and carrying them to the source of creation. Interesting. As well as being the archangel of music. That's interesting as well, because I think Lucifer is also like the archangel of music in a way. And we were talking about that a little bit before. I don't know if Lucifer was technically considered an archangel or what kind of angel, but he was like second to God. He was the most beautiful of all angels. Sandalphon is the commander of the group of angels known as the Ashim, which means souls of fire. Additionally, all types of fertility are under the domain of this powerful being. Interesting. So, with Jesus, we saw that Gabriel was the archangel that was the one that came to Mary, and was possibly, some kind of ritual took place. Because they even say in some starseed stuff that Jesus is like a Palladian. He comes from a different like galaxy or star system. I don't know the answers to it all. I just study it all and know what Christ consciousness is in my heart, the energy that Christ represents. I think that's the most important thing to carry with us. But since Gabriel's jurisdiction was helping Christ come into this world through the virgin birth of Mary. So here it says all types of fertility, perhaps all physical births, etc., are under the domain of this powerful being, Sandalphon. Interesting. Some sources identify Sandalphon as the prophet Elijah, who ascended to heaven on a chariot of fire. This is interesting too, but Sandalphon is typically an archangel that is considered feminine, has a more feminine energy. Keys to visualizing Sandalphon: pale brown robes, holds a cornucopia, an overflowing basket of food. And you see that on the junior and senior steward rods in the Masonic Lodge as well. You can go to public events like lodge installations and such. That's something that not only members can come to, but also like Mason's friends, family members, and such. And that would be an opportunity to see the different staffs, or go visit a Masonic lodge sometime, and you'll see the cornucopia on the top of those staffs. So that's a correspondence with Sandalphon and the earth element. I think Capricorn has some correlation or correspondence with the cornucopia as well. Sometimes when I'm visualizing Sandalphon as well, you know how if we're going down the tree of life, Venus or Netzach is green, Hod is orange, and then Yesod is purple, and then Malkut is like these four colors. I kind of almost imagine Sandalphon's robes with as being very colored, if that makes sense, with those combination of colors in the robes, but mostly brown robes. And I try to envision the Sephiroth of Malkut simultaneously, like when I'm doing the middle pillar and seeing Sandalphon. It's a little bit different than when you see Sandalphon during like the LBRP, but not really. It's like because you're seeing Metatron, the Kether above, and you can picture Malkut and Sandalphon below you. So as the magician, you're standing, you have Malkut at your feet and Kether up here, Metatron up here, but it's all kind of one and the same, as above, so below, the Hermetic Maxium. But anyway, and then real quick, some reasons to invoke Sandalphon: to strengthen your powers of manifestation, because it's the material realm; to prevent financial or material loss; for greater strength and endurance, especially during adverse times; for assistance in creating music or to improve your musical ability; to obtain a home; for assistance in working with plants; and to spread a particular message in the world. Very interesting. Yes, I think we will go ahead and, because it's got some interesting information here at the beginning of the Archangels of the Tree of Life chapter as well, so I want to go over that. As far as invoking, or I guess evoking the Archangels of the Tree of Life, what I do is after I do the middle pillar ritual, I envision them on my body. So you've got Metatron up here. You come down, you've got Raziel, the left hemisphere, gray. Zofkiel on the right hemisphere, black, and then the the Yod He Vav He Elohim, the purple sphere here, and then it has an archangelic name, which is in Enochian, which I pronounce Elexar Pe Koma Nanu Tabi Toim. And then from there you go to the left shoulder, which is Zadkiel, Jupiter. Here you've got, I think it's Camiel, or Camiel is how I would say it, Mars, Raphael, etc. You know, moving down the tree of life and just like picturing them while I'm doing the middle pillar. So, all right, guys, I think I'm gonna jump off of here. I'm gonna walk back to my car and go back home, and got a couple things to do this afternoon, but it was great to get on here and do this video real quick. I hope you guys were able to see my music video that I posted earlier as well. I did a little original, We Are Love, just wanting to share the love, of course, and we're all on this journey together, so hopefully we can help each other learn, grow, and heal, and in this process we will rise above, and we will pull that heavenly influence down here to the material realm. Peace and love, everybody. Take care.